Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Finca Pastoral honey processed Nicaragua from Red Rooster. And there's the bag right there. And Red Rooster, based out of Floyd, Virginia, and they were originally a suggestion to us by Nico Hanley. So shout out to and thank you to Nico for the suggestion. This coffee was also featured in our most recent blind taste test rankings video, where it finished 4th place out of 6 coffees on that day. And this is our second ever full bag review of one of Red Rooster's coffees, having previously reviewed their Woosh Woosh, a wash-processed Ethiopian coffee. This one was the one I enjoyed the more of the two, so it's the one I'm looking forward to discussing a little bit more, as this right here is day 26. Once again, Red Rooster does have a brew guide. It is about a 15-to-1 water to coffee ratio, brewed at between 200 and 204 degrees Fahrenheit. I liked it best at the higher temperatures. 203, 204 worked well for me. And I like this one a little better through the Chemex, which indicates a more medium grind. Once again, they do have their own roast scale, and they call this on the lighter side of their coffees. I will still say this is a little closer to a light medium American for the roast profile. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee. Day 7, first impression, and it was that blind taste test day, and it was a semi-sweet first impression, so there were some sweeter coffees on that table. This one I had some expectations for being pretty sweet right off the bat, and it was, but not maybe quite to the same extent as the others. Slightly tame as the cup mostly skews towards a brighter acidic cup with a sugary base. So it left an okay first impression. There was definitely more to be had from this coffee. Day 9 ran it through the automatic coffee maker, and it was still yielding a pretty sugary base. Not overly sweet, but a slight bit more chocolate, complementing plenty of the palm fruit acidity. So I believe the flavor notes they have listed on here, apple and pear, yes, very much there, very notable, very distinct in this coffee. So slightly light and tame in that sense with that apple, so still the best was yet to come. Day 11, cup skewing a little bit more in the slightly tropical fruit direction, as it's slightly more tropical fruit. Entire cup is skewing a little bit more in terms of the palm fruits yet again. So this tropical fruit was this somewhat slightly brighter citric component within the cup. It was a little sweet too, so I was seeing a little bit more from this cup in general, but it was trending in the right direction. Day 13, best day of the coffee to this point, as it skewed very much in the direction of that kind of apple pie-like cup. And I very much have a soft spot for cups of coffee that taste like apple pie, and this is one of those, as it had that bright palm fruit acidity, so most distinctly a fair bit of apple. But in addition to that, that sugary base reminded me so much of pie crust, and that's pretty common with coffees, like the apple pie tasting coffees, but it's something I really enjoy. The most distinct characteristic to this cup was the apple at this point, and it was complemented well by that sugary sweetness. So a very nice day on this day. Day 15. Cup continues to improve, continues to remain this sweet apple pie-like cup. Can feel plenty of the buttery crust aspect to this cup, as it has this almost sugary pastry-like direction that's complemented yet again by that apple acidity. Really nice, really well done, kind of well-rounded in that sense. Day 17, pretty sugary sweet yet again. It's been pretty consistent with a slight bit of improvement, and that's what I noticed from the Woosh Woosh as well with Red Rooster's coffees, is I was seeing incremental improvement with not necessarily too many adjustments, just giving this coffee a little bit more time, you would continue to see it get better and better each day, little by little, but you're still seeing improvement. Vibrancy of the clear apple components, slight floral honey as well in this cup, so I was experiencing a little bit of some floral honey, which I was enjoying, so a lot of positive things at this point. Day 19, ran it through the automatic coffee maker one more time, and it's funny because I had a very similar experience. So the first time I tried it, a little bit of time didn't necessarily do it well for this brew method, as it continued to skew a little bit more on that sugary pie crust sort of things, but this was yet again bringing out a little bit more of that robust chocolate aspect to the cup. It was still solid, it was still sugary, but a little bit more tame and a little bit more skewed in the direction that I wasn't looking for. Day 22, final day. Cup came out slightly smoky at the higher temperatures, and it does need a little bit of a cool down, so that was one kind of detracting factor from this coffee, was there were times it could come out a little smoky, a little heavier on the dark chocolate on this day as well. But as it cools down, you really see the cup of coffee open up. It continues to skew in that direction of that sweet, sugary apple pie-like cup of coffee, something I really enjoy. In addition to that, there's plenty of other citric components to it. There are times I could say there was a little bit of lemon. There were times I could say that there was a little bit of that more tropical citrus fruit, most distinctly thinking this orange component. So you're getting a little bit more than just this apple pie-like cup of coffee. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we were getting. And it's a pretty clean looking tasting wheel, but let's run through it real quick. So we have 4 level 4s. We'll start with the cleanliness level 4. That's pretty good, I would say, for a honey processed coffee, although honey processed coffees don't suffer from the same sort of repercussions as natural processed coffees. You could actually trick me a lot of the time that this is a wash processed coffee because it has so much clarity to it. So cleanliness level 4, definitely agree on that. Finish level 4, it's got that kind of bright apple acidic finish to the cup of coffee, so definitely justified there. Plenty of sugary components to complement that as well, so plenty in the finish. Sweetness level 4, pretty sweet cup of coffee. I think one of the sweeter cups of coffee from that blind taste test. Pretty good cup of coffee in general for the sweetness. Acidity level 3, even with all of that being said, it's not the most overly acidic coffee. It actually kind of finishes out a little even in terms of the acidity. So I like it there at that level 3 mark. Florality, I was seeing plenty of it. I don't think I discussed it too much, but the more floral honey aspect that was within this coffee, very much present, a pretty distinct factor too. So I think it justifies itself at that level 3 mark. And then, of course, the citrus at level 4. And I always put the apple in citrus because it's the only category it kind of fits into. But even then, some additional components, including a slight bit of this orange and lemon that I both mentioned, while they're not quite as pronounced as this pretty straightforward apple acidity to the cup, they're very much present. Anything else really worth noting? Body, moderate, level 3. I agree with that. Even through the Chemex, it has that. For the most part, everything else is at a level 2. The only thing that didn't reach that level 2 was those stone fruits. I wasn't experiencing any stone fruits, but for the most part, drinking this coffee on this day, I actually really agree with the way that this tasting wheel turned out. I think it's a pretty good representation of what I got from this coffee. All right, so my overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. I said earlier that I have a soft spot for these coffees that taste like apple pie. So for that reason, this one was a coffee I actually quite enjoyed. So I think that this was on the better side of Nicaraguan coffees that I've had recently. I can't recall one that I enjoyed this much. But with that being said, I mean, it was still kind of in that middle range of it's a good cup of coffee, but it's not something that I'm going to remember a couple years from now. Just solid, well-rounded in that sense. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to. People like myself that really enjoy those apple pie-like cups of coffee. It's a little bit more depth and complexity to it than just that aspect. In addition to that, a little bit of florality, which I found to be a very nice complementary factor to the very sugary sweetness within this cup of coffee. Keep in mind the sweeter cups of coffee in general. I think all of those components make this a pretty decent fit for somebody that enjoys those types of coffees. But for the most part, I think I'll leave this review at that. If you've by chance had an opportunity to try this coffee, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of it as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Finca Pastoral Honey Processed Nicaragua from Red Rooster. Thank you for watching.